Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 33 of the
Look, I can
Thunder
do that one.
Gals. Yay!
33.
or,
Look at
or you could do
that.
the three like the way the Thunder do it.
Yes. I could do the J Max Selly. There
There
we
you
go.
go.
Wait, no.
Um,
There we go. I swear my hand signals, I'm not the hand-eye coordinated one of the two of us, I don't think.
if you're only listening to this, you missed some great hand signals from the two of us that you'll just have to check out on our YouTube channel. I'm
Yeah,
your host, Thunder Auntie Brittany, with my co-host Paula. How are you doing, Paula?
I'm good, sort of. Like really quiet this week, and I don't like that.
Yeah, we were both hoping to be doing more pre-game previews and post-game wraps for one more series. But alas, it was not meant to be, as the Thunder fell in Game 7 on Saturday night, and the San Antonio Spurs have advanced to the finals, where they are now down 1-0 to the New York Knickerbockers, who won Game 1 in San Antonio 105 to
Mhm.
95. And how quickly the narratives are changing.
It it's so interesting. I think for me, this week has been weird, and I think it's because like there seemed an inevitability to the fact that the Thunder would make it to the finals. And yes, that could have been on paper, and yes, that's not always the reality. But they overcame so much in the regular season, and they had such an easy route through through the Western Conference, having two sweeps. We knew that San Antonio was going to be a challenge, and we said, I don't know if I jinxed it or what the deal was, but we talked about being healthy going into the Spurs series. And so if that's on me, my bad. It's just and when it finally just came to such an abrupt end. I mean, we were within just a few baskets. I mean, it wasn't even a quarter we were missing the finals by. And then you wake up the next morning and there's exit interviews and you're like, I this is not what I worked my cardio for. Like I was prepped for a 7 game finals series.
Yeah.
And yet I woke up Sunday morning adrift, so to speak.
Yeah, I think all of Thunder Nation woke up feeling really sad on Sunday morning. I'm glad we didn't have to record this Sunday because I don't know that I could have got myself out of my pajamas to even do it.
Mm-mm. Now, I'm not saying that I felt surprised because I,
Sure.
I didn't. That series was won by a team that played better than we did in
Yeah.
multiple games. But it was just a mind reset for me. And there's no way I could have recorded this on Sunday without just I didn't even like doing the post game rap Saturday night. I didn't even want to be doing that.
Oh
And
my gosh, I was so glad that I didn't have to. I was like, oh, I am so glad Paula does those because I would just not be able to pull it together.
I had to re-record that one several times to even get it to where I got it. So finally I was like, look, we all know it's over. We're done, and it was just interesting. And I know that's well, you're a fan, you're a homer, you're gonna feel well, I think anybody that is invested in a team, when your series ends, that next morning you're like, oh, something I've been invested in for 9 months, multiple nights a week, and for those of us sickos who, actually do extra stuff for their team, it's really suddenly just a light switch. And it's
Yeah.
just, it's interesting. Now, I will say exactly like I said in the post game, we're not done. We're not quiet. We're going to keep going. It's just different.
Yeah. We were hoping to be talking about some finals games right now and how our guys were playing, whether we're going to repeat or not. And now we
Yeah.
know that's just not the case. I'm wearing my Champions t-shirt one last time today before I retire it. Just we're still the defending champs for at least another week.
Which is perfect.
But
I saw somebody online like surprised at the fact that Thunder fans are still wearing Thunder gear. And
I wear
I
my
thought
Thunder
for
gear year round,
that's
man.
what I was gonna say. Don't all fan bases wear their team's gear all year round? I mean, it's not just during the season, right?
I'm pretty sure my husband's sick of all the Thunder gear I wear.
Well, he knew what he was getting into.
He
It's not a
did.
surprise,
I
but the fun,
probably wear something Thunder related at least every other day.
understandable. I mean, I'm surrounded, I have, video meetings all the time, and this is always in my background, and I'm like, yeah, it's a Thunder, just get over it.
Heck yeah.
But it was funny because speaking of fandom, people that are true bandwagon fans or just partial fans, my phone blew up after the game. My son immediately was like, "I am so sorry," and that's like I was personally responsible and personally going to be affected by the fact that the Thunder are not going to the finals, and it's just funny. So those are my thoughts around how the season ended, but that's not my thoughts. That's not the end of my thoughts about the season.
Yeah. I mean, my thoughts immediately were like, you know what? Winning a second championship is just really hard.
It
And if
is.
you look back even at the last like 7, 8 years that we've had a different champion every year since
Hmm.
that Warriors repeat at the end of the 20 teens. Um, the team that wins the championship, we're the first ones to even make it past the second round while
Yeah.
defending the championship. So, like, to be in game 7 of the conference finals and be minutes away and a few made baskets away from a different outcome, like we got no reason to be panicking. It's not time
Oh.
to freak out. And then if you even look back at like the Spurs first dynasty team that won 5 championships in like a 10 or 12 year period, they never won back to back in any of those years. They won 99, then 03, 05, 07, and then Tim Duncan got one last championship in 2014 to bookend that kind of Tim Duncan career 5 championship, run. But
Hmm.
they won kind of every other year for a few years in there, but like they didn't repeat ever. It's hard to do. And
It is.
Sam Presti worked in the front office. He was not the GM, but he worked in the front office of the Spurs during that dynasty run where they were winning every other year. So I know that he knows how hard it is, and he knows it's not time to push a panic button. And, I saw so many fans who I know they were just emotional, and, I get it. Chet played terribly in game 7. He really had mostly a terrible series outside of game 5.
Hmm.
I get why it would feel like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? Do we need to trade Chet? Like, Chet's 24.
Hmm.
This was his third season as like an active player for the Thunder, not counting his first season that he was injured all year and didn't ever suit up. He's very young. He's
Yeah.
got a lot of growth ahead of him. And then you look at somebody like Karl Anthony Towns, who had an amazing game 1 against Wimby. Well, Big Cat, he was known for being a crap defender in Minnesota for many years before being traded to New York. Like,
Yeah,
he wasn't looked at as some great defender. But now that he's been in the league a decade, and he's in the finals for his first time, he looks great against Wimby. But like, if you take Cat after his third year and put him in that situation, he probably wouldn't look as good as he did in game one. So I think everybody should just like be patient and remember Chet's coming off of being second in defensive player of the year voting and like a solid second, like not even close. It was
right.
Wimby, Chet, and then everyone else.
Hmm.
He's coming off third team All NBA, his first All-Star appearance. Frankly, he had a great series against the Lakers to even get us to the conference finals. So, like, let's not
Right,
throw
right.
out everything he did all year because of a bad series against one particular opponent. That's where
Well,
I'm at on
recency bias gets really bad. It
it.
gets really bad, and you want to point a finger, and it it's so funny. So in the exit interviews, I don't know if you got to catch all of them, but there was one during Shay's that was very interesting, and it was towards the end, and somebody was trying to question slash bait Shay about Chet and how he played in the series. And are you going to talk to him this summer about what he needs to do? And Shay was like, no. Just like I wouldn't expect Chet to come up to me and tell me what I need to work on. Like, why would you think that's his place? Like, Chet, like all of us, when we do something bad, we self reflect and we go, oh crap, okay, I need to, okay, a lot of us self-reflect. And it's
Sure.
like, how can I fix this? What I mean, like, I can beat myself up enough. I don't need you to tell me what everyone and the 10 million people that watched saw.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need that.
Well, and
But
I didn't listen to all the interviews. I did listen to Chet's.
mhm,
Um, and Chet made, he was asked several questions about his conference finals and whether he lived up to his own standards and expectations. And he was very honest that, he knows he's got a lot of work to do.
mhm.
He didn't get into details about what that work is, which I wouldn't expect him to. You don't want
Oh,
to tell
well,
your opponents, every all your secrets and what you're going to focus on, but he made several comments about I'm going to go back and rewatch what I did and see what I can do better. He's such a competitor that I know it didn't feel like it in that series at times, but
mhm.
we have bad days at work. We don't show up to our workplace and have a perfect day every day. He's going to go back this summer. He's going to look back at what he did. He's going to grow from this. And in some ways, maybe it's better that he grows from it this way. Maybe it means more because we were a healthy J-Dub or AJ away from possibly winning this series without him having his best series. And what happens if we win a championship and everybody just forgets about the bad series he had? And then he doesn't know what he needs to work on. Maybe he doesn't focus on that as much. Like, this could be a blessing in disguise that helps him reach a new level. And I have no doubt in my mind that the Thunder are committed to keeping him on the team. Mark and Shay have both said it multiple times in recent weeks. We have been the number one seed in the West ever since Chet has suited up and started playing games for the Thunder.
Yeah.
He is that integral to what they do defensively that there's no chance that he's going away.
I think people get so wrapped up in the money aspect of the players because, like you said, we have bad days at work and, not everything's great. But people are going to come back and say, yes, but you're not getting paid millions of dollars to go out there and play. And it's like, well, no, that's absolutely true. But that also doesn't mean I'm not a human and that matchups don't work out physically or something, affects how you play or how you work. It's not all monetarily driven.
Correct. And you
So,
can't ignore the money because salary cap stuff comes into play and whatnot, and we get that. But no, this core of Shea, J-Dub, and Chet, I see no reason why the Thunder feel any way about trying to move off of them.
mm-mm.
They're the three that I see as being kept together as like the basis for this team. And the moves are going to come on the parts around the edges of the team, not the core of the
Yeah.
team.
I think with the max contracts that they gave, I think that they've shown that this is the core around them. What, like you said, it's going to be the roles around them that are going to change. And we have to anticipate that.
Sure.
And the big question is who's still going to be on the roster next year? And I think
Yep.
we've had a lot of people ask us that.
We have first question that came in on our Facebook page from Sean Jose. I hope I'm saying that right. It's got the accent over the E, so I hope I'm getting your name right, Sean. Are we keeping Lou and or J-Dub? Well, I've already addressed J-Dub. J-Dub's staying.
Yeah,
He had some injuries this year. He's got a full off season to get back healthy, to do his stretches. Maybe he'll be doing some yoga. I hear that's a good way to prevent hamstring injuries in the future.
yeah.
Apparently, when you strain your hamstring, it's these little tiny tears. And as you're
Mm,
resting, scar tissue builds up, but then that makes them tighter. And so it literally takes just constant stretching and just a really rigorous stretching regimen to keep that more healthy. Another thing that prevents some of those is some of those falls that Shea takes
yeah.
are to prevent him from landing hard and having that kind of hard stop impact, which it looked like one of J-Dub's was landing kind of awkwardly where he re-injured that hamstring in the playoffs.
Yeah, he
That
got
that's
shoved out of bounds
that's
and
part
tried
of
to
why he
stop him.
falls.
Yeah.
So
Nobody
maybe
wants to talk about that.
he needs to take a page out of Shea's book and drive NBA fans really crazy and have two players that fall more regularly.
If I have to hear the flopping chant one more time.
Bring it. Bring it
If there's
on, I
anything,
say. Bring it.
we are two different types of sickos. That
I'm tired
I do
of it,
not,
but I also think it motivates us.
I know. You also like game sevens. Me, I like nicely packed up fives and sixes.
I was hoping for the six, honestly. I wanted us to go take care of it in six so that we wouldn't have to worry about game seven. But alas, it is what it is. So
But did you see who was there in Oklahoma City for game seven? Steven Adams.
Steve-O was there. That was so
Yes.
cool.
He didn't wear the shirt, but I can't imagine him trying to put that shirt
I
on.
don't know that they make one that fits him.
I don't know. Now, Timmy Duncan and everybody, they were wearing them down in San Antonio, but I don't think any of them are as big as
Yeah,
Steve.
Duncan's not quite as thick as old Steve-O is.
No, but by the third quarter, I was like, can we throw him his old jersey? And get him.
Unfortunately, he's still under contract with another team.
Their season was over. It doesn't count. Season's over. Yeah, no, but it's just fun to see, Thunder legends come in and support this current generation,
Yeah,
no
and
matter what the
even some players from other sports were in the arena. I saw George Kittle was, I think, at game five or game two, maybe.
Mhm.
San Francisco
Paige was there.
49ers tight end. Paige Beckers came up to check
Yep.
out Chet and the Thunder. She's friends with Chet from their time together in Minnesota. So
Now she
she's a
was
big
she
fan of
was
Shea.
yeah.
She said
She
that's
was rooting for the Spurs though, but that's a whole other side.
she is a big Shea fan though. There was a
Yeah.
quote rolling around about how that's one of the guys she looks up to in the NBA, about how he gets to his spots, how he's able to get where he needs to be to make his shots. So it's cool to
And
see
that's
some
and that is true.
to cool see some people who aren't even necessarily, connected to the Thunder making it out to the games in OKC.
Yeah.
Um, Now on the Lou Dort thing, that was the
Oh
first
yes.
part of this question. I think Lou Dort's gone.
I think he is too.
Um, Now the Thunder do, I believe, have a team option on Dort. Let me look again. Yeah. He's due 18 million next year if they pick up the team option.
Hmm.
Um, I don't think they want him taking up that much space because they also have a team option on Case and Wallace. Kaysen will be going into his restricted free agency after next season. And frankly, I think Kaysen has eclipsed Lou Dort as being our shorter, stockier kind of guard slash wing defender, but with a little more offensive upside.
I think that Queso still has room to grow, and I don't see that Lou is growing at or near the same pace as Queso. Now, I'm not diminishing Lou's abilities. The Dorcher chamber exists. But when you look at this roster and you look at the style of play and you look at future rival, I mean, we have to look at the Spurs. The Spurs, I mean, they're a season behind us with where we were. Granted, they're in the
Hmm.
finals, but we were in the finals last year. So, I mean, they've got the same thing. They are going to be conference rivals for the near future.
Yeah,
And this was not a matchup for Lou.
no.
So if you're looking and if you think that we will be in this same position for the next few years, you have to see how Lou's going to fit into that. And I think Queso's a better fit in that instance.
Yeah, I do too. And it was clear from Kaysen's exit interview that, I think he wants a bigger role. Um, I think
Oh,
he,
that exit interview, people misunderstood him.
yes, they did. There was the quote going around of, I don't think about the Thunder, I'm focusing on me, or something that was taken completely out of context. It was more he was saying, like, no, the team's good. Like, I gotta focus on what I can do. But the way it was clipped and quoted and spread across social media made it sound like, oh, is he saying he doesn't want to play for the Thunder anymore? And like, no, what I got was that he wants a bigger role and like feels like he has earned, a bigger role on the team. This guy led the league in steals this year. Like,
Gonna let
I
him go?
he's younger than Dort. He's closer to the J-Dub and Chet timeline.
Hmm.
you know, Dort has been an amazing player. I don't want to take anything away from everything he's given to this team and helped build this squad. We would not be champions last year without him.
Mm-mm.
He had some very big moments in the playoffs when his three-pointer was falling and he was making really good contributions on both ends of the ball. And frankly, I think he brought a toughness that he helped spread to the rest of the team early on as they were building this core out.
Hmm.
But I think, we now have that in spades now to where, I think we can take him out and that toughness isn't going to leave now.
No, I think that it is spread among several people. I mean, we still have AC, which he flips a switch in playoffs, but Queso, it's like you said, it's like I don't think that he was concerned about the Thunder in a fashion of like he's just not concerned about his contract, right? Like it's there, it's everything's good. He figures I mean, like that's nothing that concerns him. Like he's already bought in. He'd rather focus on what he can control because he's not worried about the rest. It's not money driven. It's not to say that the money doesn't matter. What I'm saying is it's a non-issue to what he can control.
Yeah.
And, and when you talk about Lou, it's like we all love Lou. Lou is, as a player, a teammate. Ever since the bubble and getting in Harden's face, I will never, mwah, chef's kiss. Um, but even Shay, it was interesting in Shay's interview asking about Lou. He was like he wants to do everything he can for Lou to stay, but in the next breath, he will say, I have nothing to do with any contracts or personnel. Sam Presti's a genius and whatever he does, that's he goes with. He's not going to dream of, doing anything. So I think just with that, we all recognize that we would love Lou Dort to stay. And if we had 37 roster spaces like I continue to present, it would be fine. But they don't. Thanks, Adam. And and so I think it's the understanding. I think that was Shay kind of dipping his toe into, of course, I want Lou to stay, but I'm 100% with whatever Sam does.
Yeah, and lose, it's a team option, so the Thunder could opt in and keep him for one more year, and then he'd become a free agent next year. But the problem is, we can't keep everybody because we've got draft picks coming up, and like we
Yeah.
need to open some roster spots somewhere. And while I don't think this ownership group has a problem with paying the luxury tax for being up in the second apron,
Hmm.
if you wanted to knock off some salary a little bit so you could better afford to take a Case and Wallace and sign him to an extension,
Hmm.
that's just one of the spots where you're going to save some money to be able to afford to do that and get Kaysen what he's owed. And again, Kaysen's just a younger player on an upward trajectory still. Honestly, Lou Dort's been in the league, what, 7 years now? Like, he's probably plateaued. I don't think, there you hit a age 27, 28 and you can only really get better on the margins at that point because your athleticism is now starting its downward trajectory, unless you're
Especially
LeBron
as a
James.
defender. Yeah. Well, yeah, LeBron James doesn't, he can't be in all of the conversations.
but
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 you
for
talk about,
most human players,
yeah, talking about shifting around money. I know there's a lot of talk about iHeart too.
there
Um,
is.
And I think that they're probably, speaking of Lou Dort, they'll probably do like what they did with Lou Dort and renegotiate the contract for a longer period with different amounts that will bring them down some. And we'll keep iHeart. I think that's the most likely option with iHeart.
Honestly, after seeing how important he became against the Spurs, after
Hmm.
initially thinking he might be a piece that might not even be able to play a lot
Yeah.
against the Spurs,
13 minutes.
seeing how important he became over that series only solidified to me that he is a majorly important piece to this team. I
Hmm.
think we saw a lot throughout the regular season, even of things he can do, that the passes he can make on screens those like between the legs behind his back passes while he's screening
Yeah.
somebody to open up a three-point shooter, whether it's Isaiah Joe, Jared McCain, or whoever, like that's not something you want to give up. He's got
No.
such a basketball IQ. And then to see what he's invested in the city and in the community, to me, he seems to be signaling, I want to be here.
Hmm.
And I think the team now sees him as a vital piece to their defensive and offensive game. That I think you're right. I think they work together to do some kind of opt out that renegotiates him. He's due, if the team just opts in, he is due 28.5 million next year, which
Hmm.
I think is on the high end and overpay, but we overpaid to lure him away from New York at a time where
And we got a ring.
we were so far below the salary cap that it really didn't matter. Like, go ahead and overpay
Yeah.
him. And then he won a championship in his first season with us. So, hey, like good
Yeah.
call, worth the overpay. Um, but I think he and the management can work together. Maybe they can knock him down to somewhere around 20 mil a year and then give him some long-term stability.
Yeah.
Maybe a 4-year, $80 million deal is worth it to him to stick around and be part of a championship culture. And it certainly seems it's important to him. The team, I think, sees him as very important to them, so I think they'll work that out.
I think it's very interesting. And, you just mentioned it, but it strikes me that all of our conversations about roster fit and, who we keep and how we do all of this centers around one team. And it's fascinating to me that they're like, oh, look at this rivalry. Okay, on paper. But it's funny that you have to forecast out for the next few seasons against this. And
Yeah,
you can't forecast for injuries because we would not have forecasted that J-Dub, who started the season with the torn ligament in his hand, would go down because of hamstrings, or that the
the AJ
alien.
Mitchell injury. Like, if we just have one of J Dub or
Oh,
AJ, that series could have possibly gone different. It
that and
was
that's
so
what.
clear by the end of
Mhm.
game
What?
7 that Shea was doing all he possibly could to will that team to victory. He just did not have any other creators to help him.
Mm-mm. He
And
didn't.
and those are our two best creators beyond Shea, and they were both out at the same time. So it kind of, yeah, we're a deep team, but like when you lose all your depth at like the creator position.
Yeah, in one position, it tends to have an impact. That was what I was saying. I don't want there to be, it's not like a bubble asterisk or anything like that, but there will always be a question of what if.
Sure.
What if we'd had one of those? You know?
Pacers will forever be what if Halliburton doesn't go down, you
Yeah.
know? Uh, uh,
And that's what so AJ's injury was what Hallie was trying to play through.
yeah.
And he went down. And so, as much as I would have loved to have had AJ back, I am much happier with future prospects of him not going down like Hallie and losing a season and just fighting with that injury going forward than have him go down.
Yeah.
I hate injuries, hate them, hate them.
Well, and J-Dub, he said he came back in game 6 without doing all the proper ramp up procedure and everything because it was just, hey, let's see if I can help close this out.
Yeah.
Maybe I can be of help to do this. And it wasn't right. You could tell he didn't have his explosiveness, and it just, trying to play through that stuff. it can work for a minute, maybe. Like maybe you can get enough adrenaline going that you can pull through it. But like you said, you don't want to end up in a Hallie situation where you
Mm,
just make it worse.
no.
So
I'd rather have longevity rather than the ring right now.
now on that I Heart question, Nicholas Thompson had asked, would he be a possible piece in a Giannis sweepstakes? I can answer this very easily. No.
No.
Not because of my personal feelings on the matter.
My personal feelings.
Yeah, we can get to those, but salary cap wise.
Yes.
So any trades that happen will happen under the 26-27 roster and salary stuff. So as soon as this season ends and you can't make trades until like the off season officially begins for the whole league, once that happens, the Thunder will be at the over the second apron in the current collective bargaining agreement, which means they can make almost no trades, and there is like not even a possible trade to be made that would work to get Giannis to OKC. So I can just tell you that there's a lot of details. I don't want to bore you with all the ins and outs of it, but it's not possible.
So Aaron Forshaw on Threads has been doing yeoman's work going around and reminding people that J-Dub played more than Giannis. He's younger than, Giannis, isn't he 31? I don't know. There's just so many factors that are like, we wouldn't want that piece. It
He's not on
sounds
our
good.
timeline.
No, and it's just, but
He's
people
also
keep
not a good
asking.
shooter. He's not somebody who would help spread the floor in any way. He's not a good three-point shooter. He would just add another driver to the team, but Shea's our driver. Like
Right.
we don't want to take the ball out of Shea's hands just to put it in Giannis's hands. Like
Yeah, so we keep iHeart down in the post to make those show, or he can have his little soft shot. We don't need Giannis in the paint.
no. I
We've
mean,
got that covered.
I get why people are doing the what ifs about it. Like, sure, think about it, but I can tell you it's just not even possible. Um, and and I don't know who you'd even want to get rid of to bring him in. Like, you know, iHeart fits this team
Hmm.
and what we need better than what Giannis would fit. Like he's not a good fit for the team or the culture.
Yeah.
Do you really want to be taking on a guy that for the last four seasons in Milwaukee, he's like held the front office hostage and forced them to make win now moves every summer that only have made the team get worse and worse because they keep having to panic to keep him happy? Like
I don't think
that's not a team first guy. We don't have roster spots to sign his brothers to deals.
that
Like
was exactly what I was gonna
there's
say.
just it's not what we want to take on.
No. And Samuel's not gonna do that. I mean, like I said, and I know I said this earlier. Sam will answer the phone and have a conversation about this, but not to consider it, but to hear what the market will bear.
Yeah, he's gonna
And
do
I'm
due
making that up
diligence
because I
and
have
get
no
market
idea.
research. Sure.
Yeah. And of course, I have no ear into Samuel whatsoever, and I'm thoroughly making that up. But to me, that makes the most sense.
Yeah.
And all of the rumors that you hear are rumors because you tell me, when have you ever heard what Samuel was going to do before Samuel did it?
It's
Count the time.
super rare. I kind of heard that Topic was the likely draft pick that season last year.
But
That
until it
was
happened, but see,
it was kind of a not super secret that like that was a guy they were really targeting.
but that was apparent because when you're looking through all of the roster and you look and you hear that he actually made a trip or wherever. But this is a guy that when he sits in the stands, he's covering his mouth. So you can't even see when he's at the combine. This
Yeah.
is a guy, I mean, no.
Our front
So,
office is famous for being tight-lipped and not letting stuff leak. So, yeah,
but
I don't know.
but besides Lou, we talk about the draft. What are we going to do with spots? And I do think that there are a couple of other pieces that may find other homes this offseason, and some people may not like it, but I would not personally would not be surprised if Aaron Wiggins goes and saves basketball somewhere else and Isaiah Joe goes somewhere else.
Yeah,
Those are
so
my two picks.
now they're both under contract. So, like if they go, it's because we're trading them out for some reason. Um, but combined next year, Isaiah Joe makes 11 mil next year and Aaron Wiggins makes 9 million next year. These are two guys who kind of fell out of the playoff rotation, even with as many injuries as we were dealing with. They just didn't get a lot of playing time in that Spurs series. Um,
Yeah.
that's a sign that maybe they just aren't going to be the pieces we need for the future. And if you're looking for somewhere to shave some money off of this roster to invest in some of these younger players, because we've got these draft picks we're going to have, those might be guys you trade out for some future draft capital so you can open up some roster spots and money availability for some rookies coming in the draft. Which then the question is we pick at 12 and 17.
Hmm.
Do we trade up for somebody? Do we package 12 and 17 to get maybe a top 5 or 6 pick? Is that even possible? Do those teams in the top of the draft even want to, make such a deal and lose their spot up higher in the draft order? I don't know. But
This is supposed to be one of the really strong draft classes for the next couple of years,
it
right?
is. It is. Um,
I mean, we've had good luck with the 12th pick.
we have had very good luck at pick number 12.
17 is the one that's more interesting to me. Like I could see Sam packaging that with something.
Yeah, I could. It's hard for me to know. Probably the guy I listen to that covers the draft more than anybody is Sam Vecini from the Game Theory podcast.
Hmm.
You can find Game Theory on YouTube. He has he has his idea is he thinks the Thunder are probably going to go with someone like Yaxel Lindeborg from Michigan in the draft at 12. But he also said there was another guy, I think named Mara or something, that he said was a very thundery kind of player that they might want to trade up for if that he's projecting as being maybe like the 5 through 7 pick.
Hmm.
That might be somebody the Thunder could trade for, and that with the Clippers having the number 5 pick that they got from the Pacers, this might be an opportunity for them, depending on what they're trying to do. Maybe it would be worth their while to get 2 picks instead of one, or maybe
Yeah.
they would want the 12th and 17th instead of the 5th, because maybe they need those picks more than we do. So that's kind of where my thinking on it is. I will tell you, draft is not my strong suit because I don't really watch college ball. And so I only start paying attention to the draft right about now every year. So you're getting my initial thoughts, but I'll definitely be paying more attention in the next couple weeks. And maybe I might have some different thoughts on that, in some later episodes.
I always know, you can read the draft analysis and you can hear, like what Sam says, this is a Thunder type player or this, as they try to pick and choose, but Samuel's got that murder board in there with the strings and trying to they know what they're looking for. They know what numbers are looking for. They know the person. I mean, like, so it could be way off base because again, no one knows what's coming out of the front office. So
I
we can
gotta I
they
gotta
can
look
guess.
up
Now,
Yaxel because
I
I
think you're
did
making that name up.
see Yaxel Lindeborg. He was at game one of the conference finals and put on the t-shirt. So he was at least lobbying himself, trying to get in the good
Where's
graces
he
of the front
from?
office. He is a American Dominican basketball player who's been playing at the University of Michigan. He
Uh-huh.
was a consensus All-American and Big Ten Player of the Year. 6'9", 240 pound forward. So big guy, like somebody who would bring some
Yeah.
size into the front court. Certainly sounds like somebody we could use. I mean, somebody of that size could definitely have enough weight to maybe push Wimby around a little bit the way iHeart was able to, and the way that Jay will. Let's not forget what a series Jay will has had. Um,
Jay Will is interesting talking about his sorry, I listened to all these exit interviews and there's so much insight and Jay Will, it was talking about the fact that Coach Mark and he had been talking and people are figuring out Jay Will now. Like they're scouting him and he's not so much under the radar, so they're guarding him differently.
mhm.
So he's going to not have to change how he plays, but he'll have to tweak and react to their reactions. So it's just interesting to see his growth and see how he's going to tweak things because he's not just the big smile and the big happy guy in the locker room. Like
Right.
he showed that his skills are needed out there and people are playing against it.
Well, and something I heard out of Chet's exit interview when he was asked about Jay Will and the improvements he made is he brought up that, earlier with Jay Will, he was good at defense, but it was more because he was like in the right position to take charges and those kind of
Mhm.
things and almost a little gimmicky.
Yeah.
But that where he's had real growth is in his footwork and his positioning to where he's no longer a good defender by just standing still, but just somebody who can actually move people around and move with faster players and stay on them in ways that he previously could not. So he's upped his defensive game for sure.
Yeah.
And he is also 6'9", 240. So Yaxel Lindeborg would be almost like another J Will size
Yeah.
player.
Talk about, coming back though, Thomas Sorber, he'll be coming in. So the question
We
is,
have no idea what he looks like yet.
yeah, they were saying, what was it that they were talking about, Sorber? So again, in his exit interview, so as he's been ramping back up, he's got, Hartenstein, Chet, and Jay Will have all been giving him guidance. So he's training from, you know, three front court guys already without even being on the court. So if those are the people that you're already learning from, it makes a question, do we need another 6'9", 240
Yeah, because
when we've already got
Sorber
this?
6'9", 250. So
So, and he's already there, he's already in the culture, he's already learning from our guys. So you have to wonder, is that what Samuel's going to look? Do we need another one of those? Or are we going to be looking for shooters? Or does McCain coming in and AJ coming back, does that help us with the shooting? Like, that's why I say we don't know exactly what Samuel's looking for next year when it
we
comes to the
don't.
surrounding rotation players.
I'm so glad McCain will be back next year. What a get he was.
Look at that. There,
He
He's
he
so
was
happy to
so
be here.
good. And yeah, so happy to be in OKC. I listened to his exit interview.
Hmm.
Um, and he talked about, I guess somebody was like, well, coming from California, what were your expectations of living in Oklahoma? And he's like, it's like, honestly, I lived in Riverside growing up, so I was in the LA area, but I was not in LA. Like,
Yeah,
he's like,
like no.
he's like, I went to Duke. I really loved Durham, North Carolina. It's a great city. I really enjoyed my time there. He's like, me and my buddy Nate, like we've been getting out, in Oklahoma City on off days and going and seeing things. And, I know I saw on one of his vlogs on YouTube, he was hanging out in the Plaza District, he's hanging
Hmm.
out in downtown Edmond. Like
He's out in the community.
he's checking it all out. And, I think he digs that he's in a place where he can go do those things and not just be hounded for hours
Now,
like
I'm
he
not
would
saying
be in
I
a
wouldn't do
place like
that.
LA.
I would pull up a chair.
The fans come up to him and greet
Yeah,
him and they're nice to him, but it's not just, packed fans like waiting to
right.
like be at his watch his every move or something.
Yeah,
Um,
or at least in an aggressive way.
yeah, so
No, but you can tell because he talks about places that he goes, like businesses and specific things. And I think he's just enjoying, and then the opportunities that he had, especially in this series. I think he was showing out, and I think that the love that he got back for it, I think that he just had impact and just really soaked it all in. And
oh
I
yeah.
just think, I think it's true that he's enjoying himself, and I don't think it's PR. I don't. I
It's
mean,
also good to hear he's very self-reflective and he talked about writing in his journal. So this is somebody who, he thinks about things and thinks about life and isn't just going he seems happy-go-lucky, but like he's taking some time to self-reflect and like think through where he wants to be, what he wants out of life, and he seems very happy to be in a great culture that values winning, that has a great fan base, and he loves being a happy part of the team that helps keep everything positive.
I think, talking about reflecting, I can't let these exit interviews go without talking about Nikki T. I can't. Because again, he's an unknown. He came back, he was in 10 games, 10, 11, 12 games, if you count his minutes in the playoffs.
And
But
Kara
the thing,
Tucker had a question about what do we expect out of Topic next season. So
well,
here we go, Kara.
I expect great things. Of course, I've expected great things from day one, but I think one of the interesting things about from his interview, like his takeaway, was he found out that he was tougher than he thought he was. That the injuries, like he was down, and he was talking to Mark, and he realized that for everything that he went through, he's much mentally tougher than he thought. Because I can't even imagine being a kid his age and after going through the ACL stuff, you barely come back from that. And then now you have cancer and you have to deal with this. And not only is it the treatments, then it's everything else. And the support that he got from the Thunder has been top notch. And it was just interesting that he didn't reflect so much on the frustration of going through it, but just how much he grew through it. And I think that, you know, there was no way he could lead us with a ton of minutes in the playoffs. Like he's not there yet. But I think that one of the things he talks about is backing up and supporting Shea, taking the load off of Shea, how he can assist and do this. And so I think we have so much unknown with Sorber and with Nikki T and AJ coming back from his injury and Jared, like these rotation bench players. We talk about depth, but these are the guys who are going to be moving up in the next 2, 3 years they're going to be top of the bench. They're going to be starting. They're going to, making impacts more than just we saw glimpses of at the end of this season, because that's when all these people came about. I mean,
Yeah.
AJ throughout the year, but it was really almost since after All-Star break, we really saw the impact that these guys, we saw inklings.
Yeah, and Topic is a big player. He's 6'6". Like he is not a small guard.
Mm-mm.
He's like Shea size. I think
Yeah,
Shea's probably 6'5", actually. I think he lists at 6'6", but Shea's
Topic strikes me as a
Topic looks
sturdier.
big when you see him like standing
Yeah,
next to those guys.
like Shay looks lankier than Nikki does,
Yeah,
but I don't know how much Nikki's physique will change with toning this summer, you
right.
know, because how much of it is residual from just rehabbing and coming back versus how much is actual, game time physique and that's what I'm interested to see over the summer. Now, I know he can't wait for summer league. I know that. And that will be interesting to see what happens between now and then from then forward. So, I don't know. It's just very interesting to me. He's always been and I hate to say an experiment, but we just don't know what he can do. We just don't.
Yeah, he's another one of the we missed his whole first season with the ACL. Then, like you said, then he comes back this year, getting ready to play, and then the cancer thing hits. He looked pretty good in some of the minutes he did get to play this season. Like I saw flashes of, why Sam went and drafted him. Like,
Mhm. In
he's
the blue, he
there
was doing
could be
great on the
something
blue.
there. There could be something there.
So
So,
everybody asking about roster spots and the roster, there's so much unknown, but we're very, very upbeat and excited to see what the pieces that we do have, what they can do.
yeah, and I think you and I are in agreement. The three most likely guys to probably not be around next year would that we'd be looking at Dort, Wiggins, and Joe possibly. I love Isaiah Joe,
I do too.
but it's
Especially him
pretty
and Jay Will.
it's just pretty clear he's both seasons he's kind of fallen out of the rotation in the playoffs, and if he can only be a regular season rotation player, then that's just not what we need out of him. We need somebody else who can step up in those playoff moments. And,
And they've all been strong pieces to get us to this point. It's just where do we take the next step?
some players are gonna have to be rotated out on these edges. And those are the guys, I think, Lou Dort, I would not be surprised if the Thunder just decline his option. Or they work out a deal where they maybe they take the team option but then trade him. I'd have to look into what the rules are on that, on whether they could even pull that off, because they'd probably rather get something back than nothing. But it's pretty clear we don't necessarily want him taking up a roster spot and $18 million of cap space next year when he's probably plateaued and more likely on the downside of his career. As much as he's been important to getting us here, this is the churn of the roster that was bound to happen. Things like last summer where we basically just kept like almost the exact same team from one
Yeah.
season to the next. That's gonna be a rare occasion in a sport that has a collective bargaining agreement with very heavy tax rules and whatnot. So we
And
got to
that
do it
CBA,
once.
yeah, that CBA comes in the middle, I think, of our big three's contracts. Because like Shay's starts what, 27, 28, and then 29 and 30, I think, is when the new CBA, and J-Dub and Chet are smack in the middle of theirs because I think theirs starts around that same time.
Yeah,
going
so the
forward.
the rules will probably end up being different by that next CBA, and Sam set this up to where he will have some flexibility as we move out of this CBA into whatever comes next.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed that the union and the league are able to work those things out without any need for lockouts or strikes.
The 28-29 season is going to be very interesting because the Thunder will be in their brand new arena, looking at the CBA in the middle of these big three. Will we have another banner at that point? It's just, to me, when I'm looking forward, I'm looking, to see what the 28-29 season does. Again, 27, 26, 27, 27, 28, all in. It's just timing wise, timeline. I'm just curious.
One thing I do want to make sure I say before we finish up today, for those of you who don't follow this stuff as closely and you might hear all the wacky rumors, or there is a lot of national media that believes that because the Thunder are in such a small TV market, that the ownership isn't going to want to pay the tax bill. And so they have it in their heads that this ownership group is going to be getting rid of everybody within a year or two and won't be able to keep affording all these
Nope.
salaries. I can tell you from our own experience, just not that many years ago, that when the Thunder were in title contention, Clay Bennett and the ownership group paid heavily into the tax for several years after KD left, bringing Paul George in, bringing Carmelo Anthony in, trying to keep talent around Russ to maximize his peak. And so they are not the type of ownership group that's going to see that tax bill and panic and say we got to start trading people. They've shown us no
Not when they're putting all
reason.
the money in that Coliseum.
No, they've shown, and they get most of that's getting paid for by the taxpayers, so they don't even have to worry about that.
Mm-mm.
They can focus all their money on roster building. That don't listen to anybody who tries to tell you, oh, well, there's just no way they're going to pay the tax for more than a year or two. Like, that's nonsense. They will pay it as long as this team is in contention for titles.
Yep.
Now, when they see that window closing, they will also know when that window's closing and they'll make the moves they need to make, just like they did in 2019 and made the massive trade, the Paul George trade for SGA and all those picks. When the time comes, they'll make that move and get back into under the salary cap rebuild mode. But do not listen to anyone who claims they're just going to not pay the tax. It's nonsense. They will pay it.
They've learned lessons throughout the years of where they want to be and what their acceptable limits are.
Yep.
So they get it.
All right. Well, that's probably
Well,
enough for this exit interview edition of the Thunder Gals. Anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
um, next up we have draft coming up, and we will be draft experts. Well, one of us will be, and I'll ask a lot of questions. And there's still stuff going on this summer, this summer league, trades. There's so much going on. Just because the games are over doesn't mean the NBA goes quiet, which
Yeah, and
means
then you
we
got
don't go quiet.
community stuff like, oh, we didn't even mention Russell Westbrook was back in OKC the other day.
Forgive me, Russ, for not mentioning you. Yes.
He's an investor in the multi-use stadium being built in Bricktown that will be used for soccer and football. That
Hmm.
will be the home of the USL Soccer League and UFL Football League teams for Oklahoma City. So he was there for the groundbreaking on that.
Yeah,
Um,
because he said, I'm going to keep pouring into the city because of everything you've given to me. And Russ is just he is a part of the city, whether he's on the roster or not. But,
Yeah.
you know,
And like he said, he grew up there. He basically showed up to OKC as a 19-year-old kid, and like his formative 20s were all in OKC. Like he started
mhm.
his family, built his adult life there. So, that
It'll
it's
be
it's a
interesting to see
second
if Russ
home
is
to
on a
him.
roster next year. I know. I heard Kings fans say that they would be happy to see him back. And I would like to see him somewhere in a
I
Thunder
I
uniform
think I
getting
think
a
he'll
ring.
get a deal probably for one more year. He showed he was still somewhat productive as a sixth man last year.
Yeah.
He adopted and accepted that role more so than he ever had before.
Yeah.
So I think he recognizes that he's in a different spot in his career. But he still clearly has the fire to keep playing NBA games. And so
Yeah.
I would expect him to play one or two more seasons. And then I would expect him to probably sign some kind of symbolic 10-day deal once he's done with his career. He'll do the sign the symbolic 10-day deal, come get a Thunder jersey one last time, and retire as an OKC Thunder. It's my
I
guess.
need Samuel and Adam Silver to make this happen because I will camp out. I am going to see his jersey raised. I need that man. I, I need to know where
It
his
would
statue is going to
it
be.
would be perfect if he does it right before that 28-29 season, so that during that first year that the new arena opens, they can have a night in the new arena, dropping down the number zero into the rafters to join Nick Collison.
Hmm.
That I think would be a storybook ending.
And no matter what, he still has roots here in Oklahoma City. Whether he's in a in a Thunder jersey or not, he's proven that he still loves this city and we still love him. So that's a great
Absolutely.
way to end this week. Positive.
All right, y'all. It's been good. Thank you for joining us this season. Thank you for subscribing on YouTube, on your podcast apps.
That button.
We are going to keep coming back to you throughout this off season. We'll probably take a break a week or two here and there during some of the doldrums of summer, but while we've still got stuff to cover, there's a lot happening over the next few weeks, like Paula said, draft and summer league. So we're gonna stick around to cover all that, and we'll be with you through it all, and we'll just keep being your thunder aunties that talk some calmness into the universe and kind of keep the snap panic reactions in check a little bit.
And remind you that the players are people, no
That's
matter
right.
what.
All right, y'all. It's been a good one. Peace and thunder up.
Bye.